Good morning, everyone. This meeting of the Sawyer County Land, Water, and Forest Resources Committee meeting is called to order. Clerk, may we have the roll call, please?
Steve Karianen,
Here.
Randy Newman, Kay Wilson,
Here.
Jim Evans, Dale Magnuson.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Let's have the Pledge of Allegiance now. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Certification of compliance with the open meetings law.
This meeting was noticed to the media and the public as required by Section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Thank you. The meeting agenda has been set. Public comments? Ms. Zilmer?
Good morning, Linda Zilmer, Edgewater property owner and resident of the village of Birchwood in Washburn County. I'm speaking to your agenda item 13C about the Land and Water Resource Management Plan. And I appreciate that this committee didn't hold the public hearing this month to allow for more public input on the plan itself. And I guess the request I would make up front is whether this committee would consider holding a special meeting of the committee members, invite the stakeholders that worked on this plan, and have more of a working type meeting that would be video recorded and everyone could learn from. And I think it would be helpful for that discussion if it started off with a presentation that I saw again this weekend. Dan Zur is a UW Extension educator, and he works with a lot of watershed groups, and I've seen him do his watershed presentation in front of a lot of different audiences. And on Saturday, he gave it to our fall conference of Northwest Wisconsin Grazers Network. And in most other counties, there's really an effort by county conservation departments, lake associations, and other interested parties to work together for land and water conservation. I think it's informative to have a ground or a watershed management type view, because then you're looking at both surface waters and groundwaters. And looking at the outline of the current draft for 2027 through 2036, there are a number of additional items that are relevant, particularly to Sawyer County. It would involve the groundwater mapping project that's already being committed to, but to also add groundwater monitoring as far as testing and analysis and mapping for things like nitrates, bacteria, and PFAS. Stormwater management, especially in developing areas like the city of Hayward and town of Hayward. We have a lot of runoff into our surface waters. Water level management has become an issue with the management of dams. And when residents around a lake wish to raise water levels, that's also going to raise groundwater levels. And then you're not going to have your separation between pout systems, and that can affect your water, drinking water quality from private wells. Another area to be addressed in the plan is non-metallic mining. We have a number of gravel operations, and the county process I know is being worked on as far as the annual and the 5-year renewals. But there still needs to be work done on reclamation plans. And then just to the recreational activities, whether it's on water or on the land, as far as invasive species. Air quality monitoring. This board passed a resolution earlier this year about Canadian wildfire smoke coming here, but I think we have a lot of sources ourselves. And then also, now that there are different kinds of industry that our zoning ordinances and land and water resource management plan have not anticipated, like data centers or even a sustainable aviation fuel facility, I think the county should invest in what the impacts of those could be. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else with public comments today? No one online? Okay. Consider approval of minutes of previous meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Evans and a second by Ms. Wilson. All in favor? Say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Events, any events this month?
No applications turned in.
Thank you, Greg. Register of Deeds report.
Yes, the financial, this year, 2025 has been wonderful compared to last year and the previous years. The sales have just been crazy coming in, the prices that, are just way overpriced from years in the past, but that's what it is now. So October was a great month. I wasn't able to get that on here, but we almost beat August's transfer fees. We had 107,000. So we've been busy with vital records. Death and marriage are up over 50% from last year. So if you have any other questions, thanks.
Thank you very much. Land records and county survey reports, real property lister report. That was in your packet. Oh, there was no attachment on that one. I'm sorry. County surveyor report, item B. That was in the packet, I think. Okay, I guess we'll skip on to forestry. County forestry report.
Okay, for the month of October, we did have 13 sales listed as active. We did have 6 closeouts during the month. Our timber sale value that's sold uncut on file is just over 3.9 million. Revenue for the month, we had about 186,000. So our year to date, we did clear 2 million. So we have hit our budget for the year. Sale inspections are on target for the level of activity. We did have a couple of tracts turned in this month for review. So our year to date on timber sale establishment is 3,187 acres. Our fall timber sales prospectus is out right now. We have a bid opening scheduled for November 13th. That approval will come through at our December meeting. Recon acres, we hit our goal for the year there. With 542 acres this past month. Good Neighbor Authority, we're continuing to work on our for year 26 contract. That's going well. Oak Wilt, nothing new to report. Bike trails or Berkey Trail, nothing new there. For ATV snowmobile trails, the Trail 3 County Highway F to ATV bridge rehab project was completed. That's 2.1 miles, and that was a contracted amount of $65,500. That's completely grant funded. We had a second rehab project start on the Discovia from Wooddale Road to the Washburn County line. That's probably about a quarter way completed right now. Also, we have been working on a snowmobile trail reroute on State Highway 77. We've been forced to move the trail to the right of way. We've been working with the Snowmobile ATV Alliance with assistance from the county surveyor and the highway department to make this trail happen. That things are going pretty well there. Should be ready to go by snowfall. Other than that, I don't have anything else to report. Is there any questions?
Where is that reroute?
It's running from basically the Town Hall Road, the Spider Lake Town Hall Road to Morgan Road. So it's up in that section, butts up into the National Forest.
Thank you, Greg. Wisconsin DNR report.
Hi there, Pat Zimmer, forestry team leader, filling in for Craig Morris, our liaison. Couldn't be here today. He's at a training session. Just a couple things to report on here from the DNR's perspective. We're currently sitting at 1,112 hours of work completed on the Sawyer County Forest, which is just over half of our annual goal of 2,217 hours. A lot of that work was completed in timber sale establishment and some site prep work in our oak stands in the Sawyer County Forest, as well as some prescribed burn break work that's being done in the winter block, prepping for some potential burns for the spring. We'll actually be conducting a prescribed burn today, weather permitting, up northern part of the county, 35-acre oak regeneration area. So we currently have a lot of dry conditions until we get rain, so we're doing a little bit of fire staffing also in the area. And then one other thing to report outside of county forest that would maybe be of interest to folks is that currently the regional master planning for the North Central Forest ecological landscape is underway, and there's a public comment period. So a lot of the state-owned properties within Sawyer County and surrounding counties are part of this master planning process. So there's a public comment period that's currently open through December 7th. So if you're interested and want to take a look at that, if you haven't, you can go online to the DNR website and the master planning and should be able to find information there. And if you have any other questions after the meeting, I'd be happy to answer them specifically.
Thank you. See, nothing from the U.S. Forest Service today. Recreational Trails Report.
Good morning, Tim Davison, Sawyer County Snowmobile Alliance representative. First off, if you're an elected official or an employee of Sawyer County, we appreciate everything you guys are doing for us with your comments and your concerns. It's greatly appreciated. Backtracking on what Greg was saying, Highway 77 project, I want to thank county engineering for helping us out on that, county surveyors, the highway department, and the forestry department. If it wasn't for those people and those departments, we wouldn't be able to get this reroute done. It's going to be a very safe reroute. It was not very safe last year when we got forced to vacate the property owner's land. But now with the additional use of the right-of-way and clearing of some trees and brush, we're going to be able to go on that very safely. So it'll be very safe for snowmobiles. We are also working on a lot of trails from the winds of this spring that blew we had a lot of blowdown. There's a lot of blowdown, especially down in the southern part of the county, out in the forest. It's like every hundreds of feet we're having trees blown over. So we're constantly working on those, getting those ready for snowmobile season. We're looking at moving a bridge that we currently are not using onto Trail 31 over in the reservation. The bridge trail on Trail 31 that goes over Osprey Creek is failing and it's in bad disrepair. We do not own the bridge. The tribe owns the bridge. And we've been working on it every year for several years, putting at least $1,000 to $1,500 to $2,000 into it. This year, we've noticed the bridge is starting to tip. I don't know if the footings are letting loose or what. The trail captain is recommending that we not use that bridge anymore. I don't know where that's going to go, but if we're not going to use that bridge, that means that trail will be closed. If that trail's closed, there'll be very little traffic going through the reservation on that part. It's pretty serious. We're trying to reach out to the tribe to come to a solution, and we're waiting for a response back. We're working on getting the trail connectors all lined up for the winter time. We've put a lot of rock down on Trail 29 down in the res this year, making it safer. We've had reports over the summertime of people getting stuck in mud holes. So we're trying to seal those up and get those safer for people to drive on. The Tuscobia, a lot of talk about the Tuscobia in the past about dumping a lot of money into it. And we felt like we were never getting anywhere with it. Well, I think now we're finally getting places with it. And it's now being recognized by a lot of other counties as a really good trail. You should go to Sawyer County and see what they're doing, is what I've heard. It is in excellent shape, but it's in need of repairs also. County Forestry and a couple of us from the association went and we did checks on culverts yesterday. 94 culverts on the Tuscobia Trail, 50 miles, and just average cost of $5,000 to replace them. That's average. Some are way more, some are way less. It's a lot of money. We need to start getting proactive and start doing it now. We've done it in the past, but it's always on an emergency basis. Get a call in the middle of the night. Oh, the culvert's washed out. It's going to flood the road. We got to fix it right now. Well, any contractor that looks at that, you're not going to get the best price out of them for that. But we're trying to be proactive. We're working with the state, get a plan together on that. But the Tuscobia is moving on very well. We're working with the federal forest on trails 521, 622. We've done some minor rehabs on those trails, just maintenance rehabs, I call them, make it safer for the winter. Overall, we've put a lot of time and effort this year into maintaining and fixing trails. Currently, right now, we have 176 miles of rideable ATV trail, besides the county roads and the town roads, but we have 176 miles of very nice groomed trails. That's all I have. If anybody's got any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you.
I got a question.
Yes, sir. Where's that
Uh,
coming from?
A few years back when there was this heavy rainstorm in winter here, the Scobia washed out here just north of Winter about 3-4 miles. And it's kind of funny. They put a new culvert in there. Maybe that was before Sawyer County owned it, maybe. But they put a new culvert in there, and then they went through a lot of work to put the trail back up to all the way up to the level of it used to be where the train run across level. They had it fixed where you went down and you just went across the culvert and not having to put all that fill in there. When you replace these culverts, if they do wash out, you don't have to bring that grade back up to the way it was where a train was, do you?
No, we don't. We've done it both ways in the past. Like you said, the one we did bring up to grade, but you got to envision going down that trail on a snowmobile and or a ATV with 94 culverts in 50 miles. That's a lot of dips. A lot of the culverts are between 1 foot and 5 foot. A lot of them. There are some severe ones like that one, for example, that's 20 foot down. So you really wouldn't want to have a 20-foot dip for the fact that you wouldn't be able to see
Why
anybody.
not? Hey, why not? These are ATVs. They're made to go up and down. They don't have to be a level field like a train has to go on.
No, they
That
don't.
actually would bring more character to the trail if you had some hills in it, up and down.
And
That's
it
my
could.
opinion.
It's a situational thing, I believe, and that would be an engineering question.
Well, I think that needs to be looked at as how you replace these culverts and the expense involved in replacing them. That you don't have to put it back to the way it was as a train running over it. I think that's overkill.
Yeah, if I could just comment, the one that you're referencing, east of Winter, that was a DNR call. That was such a big blowout that was DNR engineering that determined how that one was going to go back. Because the way that the MOU with the trail goes is ultimately the state is responsible for the infrastructure underneath it. We end up doing a lot of the work on it, but we get funding from the state to do it. So on these smaller culverts, it's just kind of how they go back in. So there will be a little bit of a dip here and there, but some of those big ones, that's kind of out of our hands. That's up to the state to determine how they rehab those. But I hear what you're saying with the character part. So
Yeah, it's just they had it all redone where you drive down the 20 feet and they had it all graded out and it looked good. And then a couple years later, they come and filled it all back in. And I suppose that was, but it was just overkill. That's what I'm saying. Kind of a overkill for what needed to be done there. And so anyway, if they on these projects in the future, you need to use some common sense on them.
Well noted. Teach the government common sense. I will do that. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anything else on trails today? If not, we will move on to zoning and conservation. Conservation report.
Yeah, as part of the conservation update, now some of the stuff when it was initially prepared, ultimately has changed because this was, submitted out about 8 days ago. So work has been completed on the Price Dam, which is the dam that controls Lake Winter. We did end up getting the electricity hooked back up to the dam because there was some issues with the clutch mechanism for the gate. So we got the electricity hooked back up to it, and we're still having issues with that clutch gate. So we are reaching back out to the contractor who did the work. We are currently holding paying of the invoice because we're not satisfied with the work that has been completed. So we'll have additional updates next month to see what transpires with that. The poster and speaking contest was sent out to all area schools. This year's theme is soil, where it all begins. So we'll be looking forward to seeing some of those posters in the upcoming months. And I believe there is a voting process that usually gets sent out to at least county staff, and we can certainly include county board supervisors as well if you want to vote on any of those posters. The DNR, in conjunction with the Whitefish Lake Property Owners Association, have finalized a public informational meeting. I just got the information yesterday. So this will be held at the LCO Casino Conference Center on December 15th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is the notice of pending application, which would have a water level increase of an additional 6 inches on Le Coudray. Le Coudray then in turn would hold the water levels slightly up then on Grindstone, potentially on Whitefish, as well as Little LCO. Again, here it says the date and time of the meeting will be determined, but again, it has been determined December 15th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then the only other item I have is kind of as an update, leads into the next agenda item, and that is for a fish passage grant. I guess before we move on to that, I would ask if there's any other questions of the conservation update.
I guess not.
Yeah, so as part of the next agenda item, this was a request that was proposed to us by a Kendall Petrie at the Department of Natural Resources. Ultimately, they are wanting to do a fish passage project on the Chippewa River, which would allow for sturgeon to be able to further travel upstream, as well as on this fish passage project. There is basically a monitoring device because most of these sturgeon are chip tagged. They have tags in them. And when they go past these readers, they can actually then see how many fish are passing and which fish is actually passing through this. As well as, there's a dam in place, and this is a way to divert the dam so they can further go upstream. So this was initially proposed to us. The DNR is looking at all additional funding. They're the ones going to be taking on the project. And one of the other avenues of recuperating costs of the project that they discovered is a grant that the county can apply for, which then we can in turn give back to the DNR to do the project. So this is a $10,000 grant, which the counties are the ones that are eligible for it. It would be then a reimbursement. The DNR would charge us $10,000, and then we would end up getting the $10,000 back in a grant. So it would in a sense be pass-through money. This does require committee approval, and I do have some additional information. I'm not super familiar with the project. Again, it's not something that we're necessarily tackling, but it is an opportunity that the county can apply for the funding and give that funding back to the DNR. So hopefully they can get the ball up and running on the project. But the second attachment, so the first attachment is the actual resolution, which the committee chair would be the authorized signature, and then either myself or Natalie would be the representative agents of the county then to submit for the grant. We also are going to have Ariga from UW Extension actually write the grant in conjunction with the DNR to hopefully get that funding approved. We have no other projects that we are anticipating on this grant cycle that would be also tacking on to this, so it would specifically be for this fish passage project.
Jay, there would be no further financial contribution from the county.
There would not, no, and I triple checked on that because that was one of my big asks of the DNR that, you know, the county's not responsible for any additional fees or costs on this. I mean, if we get the grant of the 10,000, that's all we're, you know, giving you and that's all we're getting back, correct? And 3 times they said, yes, that's all it would be. So, and I have that in writing.
It's-
Email.
And it has several potential contributors identified.
Yeah, so the DNR, I mean, ultimately, I think this project, saw it in there once. I don't know if it's $150,000 for the entire thing or if there's multiple.
150 total.
Yeah. So they're looking at, funding from multiple aspects, whether it's through any type of federal funding, DNR looking at their books as to, where they can pull source funding. But one of the other identified ones was the county. The county can apply for this grant, get $10,000 basically from the state, and then in turn give it back to the state to do the project.
And this whole project timeline is how long? You know?
I think it's like 2 years, so they would get hopefully all the funding kind of this year in 2026, and then the project actually wouldn't go in till 2027.
And they kind of did something like this before with those tags. The tags didn't work apparently. Just
Yeah, so I think it was about 10 years ago, they tried doing it kind of a similar thing, but the equipment that they were already trying to get was very outdated, so it didn't work, unfortunately. So this is kind of the second attempt with actual equipment that's up to date. So it should theoretically work. You never know with technology, but.
And this is geared primarily toward sturgeon. Is that what I see?
Yep, muskies as well, I think was mentioned in there too. They're not tagged as much as the sturgeon are, but they did mention muskies as well.
Yeah, that they'd still have the ability to use all fish
Right.
species could use the fish passage, but the tagging aspects is specifically to monitor the lake sturgeon.
Right. So we need a motion, I guess.
I'll make a motion for the county to go ahead and apply for the grant for the sturgeon project.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Wilson, a second by Mr. Magnuson. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
And our next agenda item, and ultimately, yes, we did not hold the official public hearing for the land water resource management plan. I have it as an agenda item today for additional discussion. We did hear some additional public comment, speak to the levels of having additional meetings and discussions. I mean, those additional meetings and discussions have occurred. There's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that sat on that advisory committee here today. So I think this is a good chance that if we want to have additional discussions on this before hosting a public hearing next month, we could do so now, unless the committee has other options or suggestions or solutions. But there is a timeline structure on these elements, and I believe we are getting to the point where that official public hearing is still going to need to really be held next month. If we want to have a special meeting between now and then, I would leave that up to the committee. And like I said, if there are additional discussion points that we want to have now, we definitely have some time and the opportunity to do so here.
Any thoughts on that, committee?
Just a point on page 10, under resource assessment, there's a typo. After reading this plan, I came up with at least this one, and it's COVID-19 pandemic had a major influence on housing. Should be housing, not hosing.
Is it page 10 of the document or page 10 of the?
Page 40 of the.
Page 10.
Page 10 of that.
Resource assessment. Here.
Yeah, it's down at the bottom of that.
You got it?
Yeah. I was happy to see it, the addition of the groundwater study. Thank you, Jay.
Yeah, and that should be mentioned. We are now on version 8. Version 7 was the one that was given to the committee last month. And with Supervisor Wilson's comments and suggestions, we did end up implementing additional verbiage as far as the anticipated groundwater mapping study that would be occurring over the next 2 years. So that's also now been included into the plan as version 8.
So, again, Jay, do we need a motion or anything, or just,
No, we don't. And I guess in being in this, position for a while, I would almost open it up to additional comments at this point, because I'd rather get all elements flushed out now as opposed to going to the public hearing next month and then finding some, critical thing that the committee wants added into the document. And now we have to, again, go another month and host another public hearing because that's made such a significant change. So as to facilitate a working government, I'd almost open it up for general comments right now from the public. And if the committee wants to accept any of those as to, make a version 9 of the plan, and then that would be the version that we would propose as part of the official public hearing next month.
I had a thought under groundwater protection. The town of Round Lake did a 3-year study of well water in our town, and we partnered with the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, and they had, I think, 11 different tests that they ran on and the town paid for part of the testing, and the individuals paid for a marginal amount. And I wondered if maybe we wanted to encourage other towns within the county to have a well water testing program after the model of the town around Lake.
The town of Draper did that when Ed Peters was there, I believe in 2010 or somewhere, because it was in my file still. They encouraged residents to have their wells tested, and then they used that data to analyze the town's overall well quality.
And the town around Lake, they found some significant problems in some of the wells. So it was a well-deserved study for those particular people. And it was completely gone.
Yeah, and we do have water test kits available as part of the Health and Human Service. We actually, I don't know if we still have the lab here, if we were getting rid of the lab, but there was, certain tests that can be done. And the fees are somewhat nominal. They can do the denitrate testing, bacteria testing, and then it can, further get sent out to either UW Stevens Point or UW Madison for other heavy metals and other PFABs. And we could certainly, add some of that additional language. I guess I would have Natalie touch base with you to see if you have any, information as to the wording you want added in there. I mean, you said that, that the town around Lake, they helped fund some of the project. Okay.
I think the test was $110, and the individual homeowner had to pay $30 and the town paid the rest.
Okay.
And it was part of our budget. But that did not include PFAS because that was exorbitant fee.
Mm.
Unfortunately.
I will have Natalie touch base with you. Maybe Natalie and Tim can work on some wording as part of that groundwater protection portion, and have additional language that potentially contact
town for additional funding sources for groundwater or for well water testing. Yeah.
Matt McKay was, from the Health and Human Services, was intricately involved in that program, so he may have some information for you as well.
Yeah, and he does some of the testing currently. I know testing is required for any TRH as of right now. I'm assuming certain loans. I know when I got my initial mortgage, I had to do a water test prior to funding. So there are some avenues where water tests are still required for certain aspects. But to get some language in there about conjunction with town resources and either potential town funding to have water test kits available, I think is a great idea to add in there.
But then to have the results coordinated somehow so that people can see where is a problem area or not.
Ms. Zillmer?
Thank you. I appreciate Mr. Kozlowski's asking if the committee would entertain more public comment now in the sake of efficiency. When I mentioned in general groundwater quality mapping, I have sent emails in the past suggesting that instead of each individual town having to do what like Round Lake did, is that this become a county-wide goal and objective and put some process around it, because the county is already doing water testing and they have had a lab, and I don't know that I've heard that it's going away. So it would be much more efficient, instead of having individual towns do it, to have the county do it. The other thing that I didn't mention, but it had to do with well water, is for many years I have brought to this former makeup of the county board a request to have a county-wide municipal wellhead protection ordinance. I've provided samples. Many other counties have this. And I think I started it when Dale Olson was the head of conservation and zoning. So I would ask that specifically to be on there. And then also specifically to look at our septage and sludge disposal. Many years ago, there was a citizen committee that worked under Phil Neese, but it involved Eric Wellhauer and town officials on all the pout systems we have in this county. They have to be, whether it's a conventional system or a holding tank, they have to be emptied, and most all the soils in Sawyer County are not suitable for applying a lot of this material, or they can only handle so much. So we have waste haulers going to Royce Lake and other places, but I think the issue of septage or municipal waste application is another thing. And I look to other counties' plans as examples. Chippewa County has a really good example of stormwater management. And with the flooding that has been happening, or that has happened in the city of Hayward, and now more dense development in the town of Hayward, I don't see that addressed in the management plan. So those are some of the very specific things at a minimum that could be included in this draft. And so Chippewa County, Washburn County, and I just found out that Russ County had their plan approved in June. So those all provide examples of details instead of having to recreate the wheel. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we can certainly look at some of those elements to incorporate into the plan. I know the topic in the conversation of having a municipal wellhead protection ordinance has come up several times, and I'm not sure if this current committee makeup has ever heard that aspects or not, but previous committees, we have heard it, several different times. And I would stay the same course in that towns can also adopt their own municipal wellhead protection ordinances, and they actually have a little bit more control on those aspects than an individual county. And then the town can have the power on whether or not they want certain land use applications in those zones of those municipal wellheads. I would still default and say that if we were to look at
municipal wellhead protection, it should be specifically on the towns on whether or not they want to implement something like that. And that was shared and reciprocated to previous committee makeups, and they've also concurred that, yeah, it should be more focused on a town protection ordinance, but we can certainly look at that if the committee wants to do so.
Usually municipalities with municipal wells would be like Radisson, Exland. The situation that came up is that the village of Birchwood well is on the border between Washburn County and Sawyer County. And the village of Birchwood did work with Wisconsin Rural Water, which developed a wellhead protection plan, and we adopted an ordinance. The problem is that the municipality that has the well, their ordinance is only effective within that ordinance. We could not enforce anything in the town of Edgewater. So what happened was there were some land uses permitted that put our well at jeopardy. What happens with a municipal wellhead ordinance, that covers situations, so say it's city of Hayward well, but it's on the border of the town of Hayward, and somebody who owns land within the wellhead protection area wants to come in for a rezone or a permit to do something that would not be, or that could be damaging to the groundwater of the city well. The county ordinance would say, we have this restriction. We are going to recognize the city of Hayward's ordinance to protect the area because water doesn't know political boundaries. So land uses that could happen in the town of Hayward could affect a city well. And that's what the purpose of a countywide municipal wellhead protection ordinance is to recognize those local ordinances in a city or village, but the county has the zoning authority to regulate outside of the municipal boundary, but in protection of the city well.
So that would apply within the county, but not on the county line. I mean.
Okay, so it's too late for the village of Birchwood, but I use that as a specific example, and more relevant here is the city of Hayward and the town of Hayward. So right now, the town of Hayward does not have to recognize the city of Hayward if they have a municipal wellhead protection plan, and the county has not been recognizing it. If the county were to adopt a municipal wellhead protection ordinance, that would say, when we are making zoning decisions in the town of Hayward, we will recognize that the city of Hayward needs to protect their well, and we will, and there's samples that have been provided. I'm sure more have been developed. It's not like you're creating something new. These exist in other counties.
So again, we're under time constraints too, as I understand it, Jay, to get this done. So, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that, could possibly be added to this, but you have to find a balance between what needs to be done and how fast it needs to be done.
Yeah, and I guess I'd be looking for committee direction or guidance as to what additional elements you just heard here this morning that you would want to see incorporated into the plan. Ultimately, I think we would end up having a version 9 that we would share, with the committee. I think I have until next week to start the publication process because it was determined that this has to be as a class 3 notice. So we would have basically 1 week to get all this incorporated and sent out. At least have the working version 9 available for viewing within, well, it would have to go out in the paper within a week, and then it technically wouldn't be into the paper till 2 weeks. So I guess I'd have 2 weeks to have version 9 fully updated.
Could it be as simple as far as wellhead protection ordinance? Could it be as simple as an ordinance is being developed for wellhead protection? Just asking if you put it as goals and intention. Not actually have the ordinance. Yeah,
I mean, if you put it in the plan that it's to be developed as a goal or objective, then you
Well,
really
it's
should
got
be moving
how
forward
many
with it.
years?
Right. I mean, you talk about the city and the town boundaries. I mean, if there was a proposed rezone within a mile and a half of the city boundary, the city also gets additional notification of a pending rezone. And then the city could look back at their wellhead protection ordinance and say, no, we don't agree that this should be rezoned to industrial because of a city wellhead. You talk about the other villages and towns, or the village of Exlin, the village of Radisson, the village of Coudray. Again, I've always said if they want to have those additional protection measures in place, they can adopt their own town ordinances or village ordinances for that additional protection. If we want to look at developing a countywide municipal wellhead protection ordinance, we certainly can. I would just have the committee make that decision though. I mean, are there other ones out there? Yes. I have not really looked at them or explored them. I'm sure there's going to be additional mapping that is going to need to be conducted by a GIS department. We'd have to look at existing land uses that already occur, identifying where all the existing municipal wellheads are, which wouldn't be that difficult, but there'd be some time elements and some budgetary aspects to develop that ordinance.
I think as a goal and an objective, that would be a good thing to add to this plan.
So we need a formal motion to that, I guess is the question? Or just?
No, I don't know if you need a formal motion. I mean, if that is the committee's desire as part of this discussion, then we will implement it as part of the version 9, and we'll still have a public hearing on that new version 9. But at that point, we would implement that, the county explore and develop a municipal wellhead protection ordinance as a goal and objective as part of this plan.
I think that's perfect.
Agreed. Okay, anything else on that, or do we move on? Board appointed committee updates. Correspondence reports from conferences and meetings. Future agenda item. We are adjourned. Thank you.